Hey guys, welcome back. If you're here because you bought my pattern on my website for these props, thank you so much. Your support is greatly appreciated. If not, you can find the patterns for the props we're going to be making in this video at suspicioustumbleweed.com. Links are in the description. In today's video, we're going to be working on the Persona 5 Joker mask and dagger. Now the mask we're going to be doing a little bit differently from the reference because the reference is very flat, and when it comes to cosplay, flat things become very, very flat in photos. So we're going to be giving it a little bit more dimension using really easy techniques. So if you're new to cosplay, it's very easy for you to achieve. And if you're not new to cosplay, well, I hope you enjoy the build. I made both of these at the same time, but let's start with the mask. I'm using the pattern I made for the mask, and I'm tracing it onto some 4mm EVA foam from Lumen's workshop. These dashed lines indicate the areas in which I will be using a technique called hills and valleys. But first, I'm cutting the main pieces at a 90-degree angle. I'm cutting it all very carefully with a sharp blade, and I'm taking extra care at the eyes since sanding in small areas like this is way more trouble than it's worth. This little dart right here is going to make the angle much cleaner when we do our valley. This part can be a little stressful, even for someone who's experienced. 4mm is a pretty thin foam, so cutting out a bevel that doesn't cross to the other side can be a little tricky. I'm spreading barge contact cement within the valleys and on the dart. You can see now how the dart is helping the angle lay flat when the valleys are glued shut. And this is the result we're after. Now, time to add the nose. The face is being glued to the mask. I cut at 45 degrees outwards so that it glues at the right angle. This is listed on the pattern. I'm also pushing the edges on the inside nice and flush. And here we have it put together. But it's not done yet. I'm cutting out the raised eye details using 2mm EVA foam, also from Lumen's workshop. This is my first time using Lumen's foam, so I figured I could review it all at the same time. This is Form Light from Lumen's, and so far the texture of the foam feels dense and smooth. I have really high hopes for how it's going to sand and heat seal. And again, I'm focusing on the cleanliness of the inner eye. A bit of sanding in a few areas, and then quick seal to smooth out the seams. Quick seal remains flexible when dry and can be layered on and lightly sanded. Once satisfied with the sealing, I'm spraying on at least 4 layers of Plastidip, and finally a white base coat. I'm using the original pattern to cut out masking tape to cover the white areas. Layers of black paint were then sprayed on, and now the satisfying part, demasking. But it's also kind of scary since I hope the masking job was effective. Luckily it was, and I only needed to do a few touch-ups. And of course the mask needs to be comfy, so on the face I altered the pattern to fit within the borders of the mask. This felt will be a lot more comfy on the face than the rough surface of unprimed foam. But before I secure it all the way down, I'm sandwiching the elastic band between the layers with hot glue. And here's the mask. So now onto the dagger. The pattern I drafted on my PC. The main body of the blade I'm tracing to some 8mm foam from TNT Cosplay Supply. I didn't have any 8mm in Lumen's foam. These small tiny little pieces are going to slot between the layers. And speaking of layers, I'm now cutting away the bits that are no longer necessary. The top layers I'm carefully cutting out of 4mm Lumen's foam at a 90-degree angle. Much like the eyes on the mask, these inner pieces need to be cut as carefully as possible. Before we move on to sanding though, I'm tracing a line in the 8mm. A bevel was cut out, and now I'm filling it with hot glue in order to place this thin metal rod to keep the dagger from flopping around. I also traced the area in which the blade needs to be sanded. And I'm starting with the regular sanding drum. A smaller sanding drum for the smaller areas, and finally a stone bit to make it as smooth as possible. Now that the main body is sanded, barge can be spread where the top layers go and carefully line them up. Before adding the other side, I'm putting the small pieces on either side. I could have cut it all as one piece, but sanding the dagger edge was much easier this way. I'm cleaning up the edges now and switching to a skinny stone bit to make the center as clean as possible. These little interior finicky bits are always a bit of a struggle. Just a few more details left to go. I'm using this small circle cutter to cut out rivets, and I'm using super glue to connect them. The two on top though, I'm cutting directly into the foam. This way, when I add heat to it, the edges will shrink a little and make the cut visible. Only a bit of work left to be done. I'm heat sealing it with a blowtorch, which I'm told is scary to watch, so sorry. A few little gaps need filling, so I'm using foam clay. If you don't have foam clay, don't worry, you can also build it up with quick seal. Just a bit of water is enough to make the clay stick, and some more to help it smooth out. However, I'm also doing quick seal for extra smoothness because you can never be too prepared. The paint process for the blade was the exact same as the mask, so sorry for no footage. I just need to add the silver paint to the rivets. Please let me know if you'd like to see repeated steps. I let both props sit for a few days and then sealed them with clear Plasti-Dip. Which we tested in the last video where I tested a few rubber primers. So please look at that if you'd like, I'll put a link in the description. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the build. Of course, everything that I do in these videos, I also do live on twitch.tv/suspicioustumble, so if you're interested in that sort of thing, you want to see the builds in more detail, and in the lengthier process, like from start to finish without the video edit cuts, feel free to come by and say hi and ask questions, or just lurk. Lurking is fine too. If you made these props by watching my video, or by buying my pattern on my website, I would really love to see photos of what you've made. In the description, there's a link to the Discord, and there's a place there where you could share all of your art progress. Now, in this video, I said that I was going to be sort of reviewing Lumen's Workshop foam. I didn't get to do a lot of testing in this video because the props were fairly quick and simple to make, but I am currently working on a personal project where I'm using nothing but Lumen's foam, and I'm using tons of different techniques. So, at some point in the future, when that video comes out, I'll give you more information on what I thought about the product. But so far, I really like it. It's really easy to sand, it's really easy to prime and paint and work with. I highly recommend it so far. And of course, I would like to thank my Patreon subscribers and my Twitch subscribers. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Well anyways guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.